Hello there. US President Joe Biden has also criticized the British economic plans. He is against lowering taxes for the super rich. US President Joe Biden has called British Prime Minister Liz Truss' original economic plans a mistake. I wasn't the only one who thought it was a mistake. That's what he told reporters during a stop at an ice cream parlor in Oregon. The fact that Truss wrote back was predictable, said Biden. He was campaigning for Tina Kotek, who's running for governor of Oregon. He does not agree with the measures previously decided by London, but it is up to Great Britain to assess that, not mine, he said, although he made clear what he feels. There had been no official statements from the White House about the turbulence, which also put the British pound under pressure. When asked about the strength of the US dollar, Biden said, "I'm not worried about the strength of the dollar. I'm worried about the rest of the world." Well, British Prime Minister Liz Truss was criticized for wanting to lower the top tax rate from 45 to 40%, among other things. That would have resulted in less tax revenue and financed large parts of the state budget with debt. The company was called off again. Still, peace does not seem to be returning, and according to information from the British Guardian, some party officials are rallying around her challengers for the party chairmanship, especially Rishi Sunak. On Saturday, Britain's new Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, said some taxes would rise and tough spending decisions were needed. He added that Prime Minister Liz Truss made mistakes as she struggled to keep a job just over a month into her tenure. In an attempt to calm financial markets that have been in turmoil for the past 3 weeks, Truss on Friday sacked Kwasi Kwarteng as her finance minister and withdrew parts of her controversial economic package. According to The Guardian, senior conservatives, as I said, will hold talks this week about a rescue mission aimed at the speedy removal of Truss. According to The Guardian, some of the party members want her to step down within days. Others say she is now in office but not under control. Some are said to have threatened to publicly ask Truss to resign. And Jeremy Hunt, who has to rescue Great Britain from the economic crisis now. The government made mistakes, says the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, and his focus is on growth based on stability. Jeremy Hunt's first task as new Britain's Finance Secretary is to do damage control. He wants to restore stability to the country's turbulent economy. Striving for economic growth is correct, said the new Chancellor of the Exchequer on late Saturday evening. But we went too far, too fast, he said, referring to Prime Minister Liz Truss' controversial economic policy. His focus is on growth based on stability, as I said, and at the same time, between the lines, Hunt attuned his countrymen to further changes to Truss' tax plans. We have to be honest with the people, and we're going to have to make some very difficult decisions, both in terms of spending and taxes, in order to reduce debt, he said. The most important thing is to help people, families and businesses in difficulty. Truss appointed former Secretary of State and Health Hunt as her new Chancellor of the Exchequer on Friday after sacking former Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng after just 30 days in office. Since Kwarteng announced details of tax plans at the end of September, which were to be financed through debt, that there has been turbulence on the financial markets, as there were doubts as to whether the plan could be financed. And the British Central Bank intervened with bond purchases. Hunt admitted to government mistakes on tax issues on Sky News. Among other things, he referred to the cancellation of the top tax rate, which has since been cancelled again. Truss also scooped a corporate tax cut on Friday, which she previously announced as a centerpiece of her pro-growth agenda. But that still leaves a huge hole in the budget of around £25 billion that Truss caused through tax cuts. Observers see Kwarteng's expulsion as an attempt by the head of government to save her own career. Sky News quoted an inside sources saying a significant number of letters had been received by the chairman of the so-called 1922 committee. The parliament group is kind of the mood barometer for whether a prime minister still has the trust of his fellow MPs and could possibly force Truss to resign. Should Truss be ousted, Britain would soon have its fifth prime minister in 6 years. The expectation is that an early election will then be inevitable because Truss didn't have a mandate of her own. This is actually a red rag for the Conservatives because the opposition Labour Party leads in some polls by more than 30 percentage points. And I'm very much looking forward to the announced presentation of the draft budget. This is supposed to happen today, but unfortunately after I had to film this video. But of course, that will certainly be a topic in the next videos tomorrow. And Jeremy Hunt has already wanted to get to the top twice. When Theresa May resigned as leader of the British Conservatives and thus also as Prime Minister in 2019, he applied to succeed her. In the internal party vote, Hunt made it to the runoff election, but was defeated by the future Prime Minister Boris Johnson. And Johnson resigned just 3 years later. Hunt tried again, but this time he was eliminated in the first round. As is well known, Liz Truss won the race in the end. The party base had wanted it that way, although strong voices in the Tory establishment, including those of the Hunts, had opposed her. The fact that Truss stumbled with her tax cut plans gave Hunt his most recent career leap. He, as I said, inherited Kwasi Kwarteng as finance minister after Truss sacrificed him in order to be able to stay in office herself. While Hunt has not served as a minister in the past 3 years, he's not without government experience. Quite the opposite. His previous jobs make him appear more as the all-purpose weapon of the Tories. From 2010 to 2019, he sat in the cabinet continuously. First as Minister for Culture, Media and Sport, then for Health and Social Affairs, and then as Foreign Minister. And now he is His Majesty's new Chancellor of the Exchequer, and thus the unofficial number 2 in the British government. Many observers regard him as the real Prime Minister. Hunt was already in touch with the Tories in Oxford, where he studied philosophy, politics and economics, and was elected president of the Conservative University Union in 1987. In 2005, he moved into the House of Commons. Hunt also tried other careers. For example, he worked as an English teacher in Japan, where he learned Japanese himself and founded several startups. Not all of them were successful, but the company dedicated to supporting young students abroad was. Its sale in 2017 made him one of the wealthiest members of the cabinet as a co-founder. Hunt's wife, Lucia Guo, is from China and the couple has 3 children. The newly crowned Chancellor of the Exchequer counts the former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher as one of his role models. The latter, however, also applies to Liz Truss, and he has certainly not brought any luck to her Conservative idol from the 1980s. And we will see how that will continue with the two of them. Just want to mention, right now there's also a new video on Outside Views Military. Still not the Dingo 3, you know who I mean, and but it soon will be. But it's a Dingo video today, so have a look there if you're interested in that stuff too. I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.